Well, the fall of Kabul brought anguish and misery to the Afghan people. It was also the point where President Joe Biden's approval rating took its first hit. A terror group coming to power and America's clumsy drawdown from Afghanistan after being at war for 20 years triggered the fall of Biden's popularity. Today, on the one-year anniversary of the Taliban rule, House Foreign Affairs Committee Republicans are getting closer to releasing their report on America's evacuation from Afghanistan. US media reports that the height of the Afghan withdrawal, there was only 36 State Department officials at the Kabul airport to process evacuees. This despite the department's claims that they had enough manpower on the ground. The soon-to-be-released report quotes a figure. It says there were only one consular officer for every 3,444 evacuees. The report accessed by US media, says the Biden administration did not accurately portray the nature of the events on the ground and had no plan in place to avoid American-trained soldiers slipping to the other side. Well, ahead of its release, there are reports of a circular making the rounds inside the White House. It talks about defending President Joe Biden's decision to withdraw troops from Afghanistan. The memo says that the GOP report is riddled with false claims. It also puts the onus on former President Donald Trump for striking a deal with the Taliban in 2020, also known as the Doha Agreement, a deal that finalised the withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan. Well, our US correspondent Susan Tehrani is joining us live from New York City. Susan, President Biden has had a run of recent legislative wins, but his approval rating continues to remain low. Do you feel that Afghanistan is perhaps that foreign policy misstep that will continue to haunt the Biden administration as we head towards the midterm elections in November?
You know, it's interesting, Nick. It was Afghanistan really that started all of this debacle with Joe Biden, not only on the foreign policy front, but really we saw the Biden administration's doctrine of really not believing your own lying eyes. It started with August of last year, and we saw it throughout the past 18 months or so, the past 12 months. And you know, Afghanistan is a very touchy issue, notably not only because of the past 20 years and what we're seeing right now spring back into Taliban territory in Afghanistan, but because of the veteran issue that we're facing here at home. It's not just a foreign policy issue, it's a domestic issue. And then you also have this report that you mentioned on the part of the Republicans coming out. They've mentioned that they're not going to let go of the way Joe Biden handled Afghanistan. Why they're in the minority right now, they don't have subpoena power, but they've vowed that when they do grab hold of the House, possibly next year, they will be starting to subpoena Biden and Democrat officials to really get to the bottom of what happened in Afghanistan. So this is not the end of what we're going to hear about how the Biden administration withdrew from Afghanistan. It is one of those issues that will sort of hover over Joe Biden. The Republicans will definitely make sure of that. And despite the fact that he did have a quote-unquote win with possibly taking out Ayman al-Zawahiri, there's still a lot of questions unanswered. Remember, there are still about 80,000 individuals that were considered to be assets, American assets, that are left behind in Afghanistan.